That is crazy because it seems like Tekken or Tekken 8, it's designed around mashing. It feels like mashing is the core characteristic of the gameplay loop. Guys, why do you think that Tekken 8 players mash so much? I want to discuss this. I want to put it out there. Please let me know in the comments your opinion about this or why this happens. This is not a rant, okay? It is not also like a hostile video of like, oh, Tekken 8 players are scruffs. No. This is a genuine discussion. Like, I really want to talk about this because I played a lot of fighting games over the years, I played Dragon Ball FighterZ, Guilty Gear Strive, Street Fighter 5 and 6, 4 also, Third Strike also. I also played a little of Tekken 7 and many other, like more games, Marvel, whatever you want to think of, I probably played that. So, as you can see here, I'm going to be showing footage from my rank up series to Tekken King. I'm trying to get Tekken King with Dragunov, which is the last character I have learned. I know how to play others, but I've been having a blast playing Dragunov, so I'm gonna try to get him to a higher rank. And I encountered a lot of different players. Here we have, for example, a God of Destruction player with Victor that is playing Devil Jin, kind of a secondary character. And he mashes like a beast, okay? And he's a God of Destruction level player. So he's not, you can't say to me, oh, but you're on blue ranks. It's full of stupid people. There is, of course, very flowcharty people on any fighting game. That's just the truth, and there's nothing bad about that. Like, at the end of the day, when you fight against someone, you're fighting a person, not a robot. So the decisions are not necessarily always, super predictable. Sometimes you get surprised by something stupid that is actually smart because you didn't expect it. But the thing is that you see this level of mashing at all, skill levels in this game. You can see it on beginner, intermediate, all the way to God of Destruction. It is something that is like in the core of the game's design, and that's what I want to talk today. Because you can even also see this level of mashing on every character. Fighting games generally have more characters based on mashing, like what we would call, for example, Yoshimitsu, like a flowcharty, sort of mashing, doing weird things character, or like Horang, who basically needs to mash to be plus, and that is like a part of his playstyle. But you see the level of mashing that is on Tekken 8 with all the roster, and that also makes it super interesting because, again, it feels like it is a part of the core gameplay design of the game, and that's what we're going to be talking about today. I personally consider mashing as, any interaction in which a person presses a button even though they are minus because of a plus on block move, or also because they already got hit. And I also consider in this game what happened right here, pressing or mashing on wake up, because you tech with a button or you delay tech trying to, make the move of someone with. I also consider that mashing because there's a lot of people that only do that. They never tech like quote unquote normally. Of course you can tech in any way you want, you can bury it, but a lot of people only tech with a button or only stay on the ground because they want to make you whiff, they want to steal a turn from you. And when you do that, 3, 4, 6 times on one round, for example, or on a match, it is pretty obvious that you do not want to give the other guy a turn at any cost. And for me, that has the same goal as mashing, so it is a way of mashing. So one thing I want to talk about is punishing people for mashing. In a lot of fighting games, people avoid mashing, not completely, but they kind of avoid it because you can get punished very hard for mashing. In this game, that can happen too, on Tekken 8, if you mash incorrectly, you can get punished super hard for sure. But the pool of options to mash, it's so big that people are incentivized to do it. Because there's actually so many options to mash and win against your opponent, that at the end of the day, he's probably not going to guess every option that you're going to do to mash against him. Like if he does, he's playing perfectly, basically. And that can happen. But it is not super common or frequent. At the end of the day, no one is going to play perfectly consistently. Sometimes you have good matches, of course, and you play very well, but you're not going to play perfectly all day, every single round, and you're gonna get caught by these people mashing. So, since the pool of options is so big, it seems like in this game, people tend to mash because they basically think or they predict that you're not going to know how to punish them, and that is super interesting because it is very different from the experience that people have on many other fighting games. Because at the end of the day, the other games have more clear situations in which you will get punished for mashing. Like for example on Street Fighter 6, it's very obvious when you're gonna lose if you mash. For example, if you're trying to mash Drive Impact against normals from the enemy, they're gonna start doing normals that can be cancelled into the Drive Impact, and you're gonna lose. Other people, for example, they try to mash on Wake Up in the corner, and they get counter hit by a huge button, and the other guy takes like 70% of your health. This can happen in this game too, but on the other games, the options that you have to mash are less, so it's more obvious how to punish you or when you are gonna mash. And even though Tekken 8 has that too, you know, it is obvious when people are plus in some situations because you know the matchup or because the system mechanics leave you plus. People mash anyway, and sometimes they win because you try to, for example, launch them and they jabbed you, and that's a good mash, you know, they mash correctly, or that was smart. But a lot of the times they'll do it on every single interaction in which you're plus, and that is super crazy. Okay, it's insane that people are willing to do that. And at the end of the day, if people are willing to do that, it's because the game rewards them for that. And that is crazy because it seems like Tekken or Tekken 8, you know, it's designed around mashing. It feels like mashing, it's the core characteristic of the gameplay loop. And you know, that is something very intriguing because most fighting games punish mashing very hard. And this game, again, you can get punished for mashing, but a lot of the times you don't, because it is insanely hard to punish consistently someone that mashes all the time with different options, because there is actually so much options to mash that it is very hard to know which option the other guy is gonna use to mash on you. And of course, sometimes you can beat them only because of numbers, and that's okay because of how much plus range you have, but a lot of the times you cannot do that, and you need to guess what they're gonna do. So I just find this so incredibly interesting, because at the end of the day, it seems like Tekken 8 is trying to offer fighting game players a completely different experience from what they've had over the years. Because they want you to press buttons all the time. They want you to sort of feel how powerful your character can be if you're willing to put, you know, the guns up there, to just use all your moves and basically say to the other guy, like, I don't care what you do, I'm gonna mash, and you're not gonna know how to defend against this, so I'm gonna win. And it is absolutely insane. I find it just incredibly unique, and I think that it is actually, you know, a good decision in terms of gameplay design, at least for now. I think that it is okay, you know, for like the first year of the game. After that, I think that it needs some tweaking, as I've said on my channel before. But at the end of the day, it is actually different from what people generally experience on fighting games, and that can be really good because it is an experience that is going to basically not be or not imitate everything that happens on all the other fighting games. And people are gonna hate me for saying this, but like, mashing well takes a skill. It's not, you know, like a mindless thing to do. Mashing well, though, not only mashing, but if you know how to mash very well, you do it on specific situations, and you can do it a lot, but you do it with, you know, your mind open and on. You don't do it for just pressing buttons. You press buttons with a goal, and you try at the end of the day to win, because you know that in that situation, if you mash, you should win. So even though some people hate mashing, it is something that takes skill depending on how you do it. And when you are a good player and you fight someone that mindlessly mash all the time, you're probably gonna win. You know, you're only gonna lose against people that mash well, and you're gonna lose consistently to them, because it is actually very hard, at least in this game, to deal with that type of player. And personally, I'm not like that. You know, I match a lot of armor moves in this game. That's mostly what I, you know, abuse, because I find them crazy broken. You know, and a lot of people at the end of the day like spam heavy, you know, like mid buttons, and armor moves win against that. So that's like the key resource in this game that I mash, but not many other things. You know, other people mash everything, like jabs, launchers, lows, and it is just absolutely insane how this game has created like a new type of gameplay experience around all of this. So I just wanted to put this out there. I wanted to discuss this because, again, I've said it 100 times in this video, but I find it very interesting in terms of gameplay design, in terms of like the development of a fighting game. I think that it's very intriguing that the state of this game is related to mashing in such a hard way. And I think that it's fun to discuss it, and I think that it is always super super, super, super interesting to discuss the ways in which fighting games are created and how, you know, these dev decisions affect us as players and affect the way in which we can enjoy the game, and also, you know, which factors are related to consistently winning. So I hope you enjoyed the video. If you can help me, please like and subscribe. It means a lot. And I wish you a great weekend. See you soon.
Fight.